So I didn't want to create another edtech platform that provided courses, because I felt that has already kind of been taken care of. Even though, there are a lot of platforms still coming up today in edtech, right? Like now there's a big creator economy thing happening, right? So there are a lot of courses that people are doing on how to become a creator, which I feel there's a genuine requirement for. Actually, a lot of people told me not to, right? But I still did it. And for me, that's been like the most fulfilling thing. That I had the, honestly, this privilege to do things my way.
So, hi, this is Rishikesh and I'm the founder of Poise Show. So, in today's episode, we are having Arjun Prakash as the guest, and we are going to know about his journey, how he started his entrepreneurship journey, and how he started his business, that is Pivot. And so, coming from the background of HR and resources, so he has headed like top MNCs and everything, and from that he took a plunge and started his own journey by starting up Pivot. So we'll know more about Pivot from the man himself. Arjun, tell us more about Pivot.
Sure, thank you so much for having me firstly. So like you said, I did start my career in actually management consulting in the US. And firstly, what we really focused on was talent management, rewards, optimizing senior leadership team's performance, right? So that gave me a lot of insight into how companies were trying to make the most of their in-house talent, right? Whether it was at the mid-level or the senior level. Then I moved back to India in 2018, and I was actually leading a business vertical for one of the largest HR consulting firms called Mercer. And I was leading their executive rewards practice. What we did there was primarily helped companies build their compensation programs, which included multiple different instruments of compensation for the senior leadership. I did that for about 2 years and realized that I'd had this business idea of Pivot for almost 2+ years that I had done nothing really about. But right before the pandemic, it's a big coincidence that I decided that I was going to give Pivot a serious shot. And the idea revolved basically around helping people make smooth career transitions from one role or industry to another. Right? I'll talk more about it during the course of the conversation, but I just think that is something that is really the need of the hour and has a potential for making a big impact globally. But the goal is to help people make smoother career transitions.
The goal is to start up. The first question from me is like, what is business for you? And like, what is that thing where you think that, this is what we or people should focus on, and this is what business is? Your point of view on business.
So business for us is again making an impact in people's careers, right? So how do we do that, and how do we differentiate ourselves from the other players that exist in the market? The number one thing that we try and do is we try to make the journey of a career transition more simplified and frictionless, right? What that means is today, if you look at a typical career transition, right, a lot of the onus is on the job seeker. Which means you have to first identify what are the best roles for you. You have to understand how to network. You have to potentially bridge your skill gaps. You have to prepare your job application, right? Your resume, LinkedIn profile, prepare for interviews. And then you finally start your job search where you start applying for companies. And on average, people are applying for almost, I would say, 100+ roles before they start getting some interviews and calls, right? It's a broken process, right? And people are generally doing it on their own. For some, it's easier than for the others. But we want to basically provide a lot of personalized support and insights and tools that can simplify this journey, right? So that the person is not going to 10 different platforms. Let's say today they are going to LinkedIn for networking. They're going to Google to do the research about the role. They're going to Coursera for upskilling and numerous other platforms for other things, right? How can we synthesize this journey and provide all the support, tools, insights that people need so that they can do it in a faster and smoother manner?
Okay. So from what I have heard from you, so basically you do the career counseling thing, right? Wherein you say that if you are confused and if you want to change your career altogether. So this is what we are here for, counsel you to get the right thing for you, right? Because what I have learned so far, that is up to my limited knowledge, so people actually are lost, and maybe in like their initial years, let's say 3 or 4 years, they just try something, but it doesn't work out for them. But they, knowing that they are not up to the mark and not in that field, how would they change, right? So this is where you come in. Okay, this is who we are, and this will help you to basically change your career, right? And in that you make the business.
Yeah, so a lot of what you said is exactly right.
Okay.
Slight differences though, right?
Yeah.
So we are not a career counseling firm in and of its own.
Okay.
The way we are trying to build this is something that can actually be scaled
Okay.
in a very high and rapid manner,
Okay.
and also can impact people globally.
Okay.
So if I was to just do career counseling on my own, that means I have limited bandwidth and I can only reach out to limited people unless I start doing like YouTube videos like this.
Okay.
But then my guidance won't be personalized to the person, right?
Yeah.
If I just
Yeah.
start doing like
Yeah.
group sessions or pre-recorded videos.
Yeah.
So the goal is, how do we scale it while keeping it personalized to each person's career goals, right?
Okay.
The way we are doing it is, number one, we are creating a network of industry experts across different geographies and industries.
Okay.
What that means is there is incredible amount of experienced talent currently. So take any of the new in-demand roles like product management, data analytics, UX UI design, right? I mean, these are all tech ones. There are some non-tech ones as well. But there's tremendous growth happening in these areas, right? And more and more people are striving for roles like these.
Okay.
There are already a lot of product managers in the world, data scientists, and so forth. How do we leverage that existing talent who have good experience and expertise that they can share with people who are looking to or aspiring for those roles?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So we make those connections. We help people get connected with the right kind of mentors, so that they can get very personalized guidance, right, on their specific career journey. And it's not like a cookie cutter, one size fits all kind of guidance. It's very targeted to who you are, what your background is, what are your goals, and that is something that can be scaled exponentially, right? Because it's not just dependent on any one person. It's a whole network of industry experts.
Okay, got it. So it's more of like if you want to have that personal experience, right? Just join the pivot group, and we are here to help you, right? And wherein we can just know about what are things that are affecting you, the problems that you're facing in your current industry, and in which industry you want to shift. Let's say. So I have actually read your Quora, this thing wherein how, if you want to become a pilot, that how you can become a pilot thing, right? So it's like that level of scale you are operating on, right? See, when you mentioned that you're having like industry experts with you, so let me continue. So in that case, right? In that case, let's suppose if let's say I want to switch my career, right? If I want to switch my career, I'll just sign into Pivot, right? I'll just book one slot with the industry expert that I want to get the guidance from, and basically he'll guide me through the entire journey. Okay, this is what you have been so far. These are the skills that you possess. But for jumping into this career, you have to have this roadmap, right? So if I'm an individual, I save my 3 months. Right, because searching, networking, getting into right people's connection and everything.
Right.
So basically I saved that 3 months of my research and networking and all that stuff before landing to that job. Right. So I got the entire process, right? If this is the process.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely right. I think in terms of timeline, some of the surveys that focus on career transition journeys, what we have read, I think this was a survey either by Indeed or LinkedIn, that said the average career transition journey lasts for about 11 months. Okay. This is when you don't go to graduate school. You're just trying to do it on your own. Graduate school will take even longer, typically 12 to 24 months, right? And much more costly. So if people are doing it on their own, they take on average about 11 months to do it. We are trying to bring that down to 4 to 6 months, which means essentially halving the amount of time that it takes to make a career transition. We have had successes where we have actually helped people in less than 3 months. But yeah, I would say if you want to make a drastic career jump, it does take at least about 4 to 6 months.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like having a disruption in the HR industry itself, right? Because and how like there are so many issues in you know HR and hiring and stuff. So like how your model is going to change that?
Yeah, that's a very good question, I would say. And it's a more bird's eye view kind of a question as
Okay.
opposed to the granular. So the vision here is actually, before I get to the vision,
Okay.
let me take a step back.
Yeah.
What's happening in the world right now?
Yeah.
In the world of work, the way work gets done, the nature of work, and the workplace are all changing.
Okay.
So the nature of work is becoming more and more digitized.
Yeah.
The way work gets done, like you can see, we are working from home more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Than just offices.
Yeah.
We are collaborating with people globally more
Yeah. Yeah.
than ever before,
Yeah.
right? So the way work gets done is also changing,
Okay.
right? And the workforce, which is the people, their requirements from what they want out of work is also changing. Earlier, we wanted just job security.
Okay.
Now we want rapid career growth. We want work-life balance. We want to make an impact. We want to have autonomy, and we want to, learn and become masters of a field. Right?
Okay.
These are things that have just come up in the last decade or two. So what is happening is there is macro changes happening,
Okay.
right, in terms of the workforce
Yeah. Yeah.
and the nature of work. There is micro changes happening in terms of what you and I want out of work, right?
Okay.
Which means there has never been a time in the history of mankind that work is evolving so rapidly.
Oh.
So we are trying to basically help both people and organizations manage that change in the smoothest way possible. That's the vision, and the way it can be solved for, in our perspective, is if we provide employees, job seekers, career changers the right information, tools, and very personalized support. Right. This is
Okay.
what we are starting with.
Yeah.
But yeah, the vision is to basically have better alignment in the way things are evolving in the world of work.
Okay. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's disruptive for sure. So before coming to this idea, right? So you've worked in, as I said, that you've worked in corporate for 9 years, right? So you have that experience. How that experience helped you to start up, like start Pivot? So did this idea came from there, or like how?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, while I worked in the field of HR and, executive rewards and all this, idea did not come from there.
Okay.
The genesis was something else. I'll share that.
Yeah,
But
sure.
the way my previous career really helped me is, firstly, it gave me a very good understanding of how people run businesses.
Okay.
I was very fortunate to get the kind of job that I got in New York, because almost from day one, right, from year one at least, I was interacting with the most senior management
Okay.
and board of directors of some of the largest companies in the world.
Okay.
So some of our clients were, like, for example, McDonald's, PepsiCo, Xerox,
Yeah.
MasterCard.
Okay.
And I happened to be in the meetings with people who are running these companies globally, right?
Okay.
I was just very fortunate. It's
Yeah.
not like, I knew anything at that time. I was just an early 20-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it gave me a lot of opportunity to understand how businesses are run, not in a theoretical but very practical way. So it was kind of like a MBA crash course,
Yeah.
learning from the people who are in their 50s,
Yeah.
who are running the biggest organizations in the
Yeah.
world. While I didn't get to see every aspect of organization, what I really understood is how they manage two things. Number
Okay.
one, people,
Okay.
which is their employees,
Yeah.
and number two, optimizing performance. Okay,
Okay.
that was the biggest focus
Yeah.
for our business,
Okay.
and that's what we consulted organizations on. That has played a very significant role for me to think about what people want from work, what organizations want from their employees,
Okay.
and how can we help people just be better at their jobs and at their work, right? So there was definitely an interconnectedness, I would say, between what I worked on
Okay.
and what I do now.
Okay.
But the idea actually for career transition support, it came from my circle of friends. So somebody very
Okay.
close to me used to work in non-profit industry. Okay. And she was a program manager, where she used to run this fellowship program for a non-profit, a very well-respected non-profit. It's called TED Talks, actually. You might have heard of TED Talks. Yeah. So she used to work there.
Yeah.
And she was always very passionate about writing.
Okay.
And doing TV media kind of production.
Okay.
So big passion for that.
Okay.
What she realized was there was a big gap in what she was doing and where she wanted to be.
Okay.
And there was no clear platform, tool, solution to help her make that transition.
Okay.
Right? She still took that plunge.
Okay.
She left her very cushy, very safe job.
Okay.
Because she really wanted to try and become a writer for TV media.
Okay.
I saw that journey up front, right? I saw how difficult it was. She ultimately did it. It took her about almost 2 years to get there. In between, she was doing freelance jobs. She did a lot of other kinds of like non-profit related jobs.
But it may be hectic.
It was very hectic, and she had to do everything herself, right?
Okay.
She had to channelize her own network. She had to understand how to upskill, how to convince employers to take a chance on her, even though she didn't have the background. Right? And what I realized is that there are more and more people within my own network who were thinking seriously about making career transitions.
Okay.
And these career transitions sometimes can be very drastic, like the ones I described.
Okay.
Sometimes they can be even smaller. For example, let's say there's a salesperson who's working in FMCG or telecom.
Okay.
Now FMCG and telecom are slightly old industries with limited growth opportunities, right? A lot of sales folks are thinking about transitioning into tech because there's more opportunities for the sales talent there.
Okay.
But still, just because you have done sales in FMCG or telecom doesn't mean you can do sales in tech. So you have to upskill yourself. You have to find the right people to connect with. And those transitions are also happening.
Okay.
So my goal was that all of these transitions that are happening within industries or across domains and functions, they are going to increase in the coming times.
Okay.
Right? Because of what we talked about, everything is changing in the world of work. Right? So somebody is going to have to support these kind of transitions. Right? And that's where we come in.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. So this is where you found the idea to execute. Now, like, what was your plan? Because it is very very much likely that people are having thousands of ideas, right? They're saying that it's a unicorn idea, it's going to burst in this. But from getting that idea to execution, what was your journey in between? So you had to quit your job. How did you do it?
See, I think that's the most important thing probably we are going to talk about today, because ultimately you can have the best idea in the world, but what it takes to actually bring that idea to reality is where it's a make or break journey. Either you do it or you don't, right? The way, so my journey is kind of unique, to be honest, compared to most of the startup founders that I have come across. In that, a lot of the startup founders I have come across usually are from the tech startup world. They may not always be engineers. They may be people in different functions, but they have some tech background. Whether in marketing, whether in product management or something else. So if nothing else, they have a good network in startup ecosystem. I spent most of my career in consulting, right? So most of my network was in consulting and finance. So for me, the journey has been unique because I had to transition not just my role, but my entire industry and my network and everything, right? So initially, the way I had planned to do it was that I would leave my job. Because this was a very serious commitment for me and I wanted to give it my best shot. I left my job in the middle of the pandemic, and at that time I first took this entrepreneurship cohort-based course, which actually was really helpful in helping me just understand the foundations of how to build a startup, right? Just basic foundations. You can even find it on YouTube, to be honest. But what helped me was having like a community of other people who were doing something similar. Right?
That is more important.
Exactly. So I joined that. It was a 2-3 month cohort based course. It gave me some structure because I had been used to working in a 9 to 7 job, right? So a lot of structure. And now leaving that, completely and starting something of your own.
You don't know processes like how one should do or approach some things, right? So you have learned from that.
So it helped me just kind of make a smoother transition, because if I went from working with large teams, having proper structure, into just something on my own
Yeah.
with no structure.
Yeah.
That would have been very challenging.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So having that 2-3 month of crash course in entrepreneurship of sorts,
Okay.
I think the knowledge is something I could have gotten from anywhere,
Yeah.
but the structure and peer environment, community
Yeah.
environment,
Yeah.
that was very beneficial for me.
Okay.
And
so can you share which course did you take?
yeah, it was actually called Nomad MBA at the time. I don't know if they still exist. It's a UK based company.
Okay.
They were a startup in none of themselves.
Okay.
And basically what they helped was people who had entrepreneurial ideas.
Okay.
It didn't have to be necessarily a tech startup.
Yeah.
It could be any entrepreneurial idea.
Okay.
They helped you kind of kickstart on that.
Okay.
Right. So they
Okay.
provided you a structure,
Hmm.
they provided you the knowledge and some coaching as well on
Okay.
how you could do that. It
You
was quite
learned your
effective.
basics thing, foundation thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like stuff like, for example, how to build an MVP,
Oh.
how to brainstorm ideas, how to validate your ideas,
Yeah, yeah.
all those basic things that you need to know. And they also provided like for example, your early community, your early network
Okay.
of users
Okay.
also.
Okay.
Like for example, I was working on this career transition idea at
Yeah,
that
yeah,
time,
yeah.
right? Obviously, the people who were there, a lot of them were thinking about
Yeah.
career transitions,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it helped me just quickly get some good feedback
Okay.
on my idea,
Okay.
right? So I mean, that platform was great, but I felt like it didn't take me to the finish line.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
was more like, we are all going to do this together and we'll provide you some basic structure, some basic knowledge,
Yeah.
but then you're kind of doing it on your own.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So the personalized support
Yeah.
was missing.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's something that I took away from that course, even though it's not like we are competing with them or anything, but what I took away is that you really need personalized support. You can't
Okay.
just have basic knowledge being imparted, because that's available
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. So were you clueless at that time? Like
In terms of?
after I took this course, but I still don't know what to do.
So I would put it this way.
Yeah.
Let's say there are 100 things to learn when you're starting a startup.
Okay. Yeah.
Just as an example.
Yeah.
Although there are infinite
Yeah.
things
Of
to
course.
learn.
Of course.
right?
Learning has to be there. Otherwise, it's not going to.
Exactly.
You're not going to reach anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's say when in your 0 to 1 journey, you have to
Yeah.
learn 100 things.
Yeah.
I think that startup gave me about 40 things or 50 things,
Oh.
right?
So it was helpful.
It was helpful,
Yeah.
for sure. And you don't need to know everything right away
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have to take small baby steps at first,
Yeah.
right? So it was helpful for sure, and I would give it a lot of credit for
Okay.
helping me just kickstart
Yeah,
my
yeah,
journey. But I think by the time I was done, all I knew was that, okay, this idea has a little bit of potential. I hadn't built anything.
Okay.
I hadn't tried or tested anything
Okay.
full-fledged. So there was a lot of groundwork still remaining
Okay.
after I had graduated.
Yeah.
So we did that post this course.
Okay.
I must have finished this course, let's say, in September 2020, and that's when I really dove deep
Yeah.
into doing market research, a lot of brainstorming on potential solutions for
Okay.
career transitions, built our wireframes, prototypes, etc.
Okay.
That all happened after this course, not during the course, right?
Okay.
So again,
Was that
we
process
did.
easy?
Which one?
This other one.
I mean, for some it might be easy, I would say,
Okay, yeah.
especially for people who have done this before.
Yeah.
For me, I think it wasn't easy, but it wasn't like I was demoralized or disappointed,
Okay,
because
yeah.
I was learning a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of learning does not happen in the classroom when you are starting a startup.
Yeah.
It's all about execution. It's
Exactly.
all about just doing it yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You can't even outsource it. Like, for example, I don't have a tech background,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But I'm building a tech platform.
Yeah.
So to be able to communicate with engineers initially can be a challenge. Right?
Exactly.
I had to spend a lot of time, just learning on my own how to actually communicate with engineers, how to
Yeah.
understand which tech stacks are relevant for your business, your platform.
Okay.
So a lot of learning happened that way, and today, I'm able to actually not lead, I would say, but guide tech teams
Yeah.
and tell them about our requirements and ensure that
Properly articulate what you want from them. Okay.
Exactly.
Got it. So now that if we have the idea, okay, we have the idea and we have taken the course, we have got the basics right, everything is right. Now it's time for execution, right? Have you approached the idea, now you have everything right, you have the basics right, you have the understanding, you have the mindset right.
Yeah.
Now how did you approach, like, okay, this is what it is going to look like in like for next couple of months, and I'm going to approach like this. Was there any process? And because you have learned it, so in your course they might have taught you like business plan has to be there, then your revenue model has to be there, right? So did you make something like revenue model or stuff?
So they did make us, on our final graduation day, they made us pitch our business.
Okay.
It wasn't, I would say, a very full-fledged kind of a pitch.
Okay.
They just wanted us to have some idea and high-level inkling of like what it is like to pitch to other people.
Yeah.
So we didn't do revenue models and we didn't get into financial projections and all that, because, like I said, it was more like, a quick crash course to give you or give you exposure to, what it takes to just get started.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, coming to your question, right? The way I approached the idea was just obsessing over my users, right? That was the number one focus for me.
Yeah.
That ultimately any business exists to provide a service or a benefit to its users.
Yeah.
I had to do my research to understand those users.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of initial time just speaking to people one-on-one and doing secondary market research, both.
Okay.
Not just one or the other. A lot of people, what I've seen when they get started, they either do the market research or they speak with people one-on-one.
Yeah.
But they don't do both.
Yeah.
And I spent almost like, I would say, a month and a half or
to
two.
Just researching.
Yeah, I spoke with about 30 people one-on-one.
Okay.
And I prepared like a whole market research deck myself on the key industry players in my space, what they were doing, where the gaps in the market were, right? And then you try to connect all the pieces of the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
You try to connect what you have heard from people directly with what you have observed in the market, right? That's happening.
Yeah.
And the goal that I had was just two. There are two goals. Number one, focus on your users, right? What do they want? What can benefit them the most, right? Number two, don't reinvent something that already exists in a big way. So I didn't want to create another edtech platform that provided courses, because I felt that has already kind of been taken care of. Even though, there are a lot of platforms still coming up today in edtech, right? Like now there's a big creator economy thing happening, right? So there are a lot of courses that people are doing on how to become a creator, which I feel there's a genuine requirement for. But at the same time, like, there are hundreds of digital marketing courses, hundreds of, coding related courses, hundreds of data analytics courses. I didn't want to reinvent the same thing. Right?
You want to make, if I may, you wanted to make a process or a fine tune, because there are a lot of information in the market, and if you search one thing, you get like thousands of, the list is never ending, right?
Yeah.
So you just filter it out, you prepare your own thing, because you have industry experts, right? So they can just filter out things. They can stuff everything into one bucket and see, this is what you may need, right? So by just doing that, I got what I wanted.
Yep.
Is it something like that?
Yeah, it's exactly like that. So what we wanted to do is connect people to the best information that's available out there, the best information that we found after doing a lot of research and experimentation, is that it comes from people who have been there, done that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, you can read a lot of blogs. They're very helpful. You can watch a lot of YouTube videos. Very helpful.
Yeah.
But they're not personalized. That's the same guidance that everybody will get. Right. And whatever, for example, you and I are talking about today, I'm sure this will be helpful to a lot of your viewers, right? But at the same time, would I say that everything that I'm saying to you right now applies to every viewer? Maybe not.
Yeah.
You have to understand the context of that person.
Yeah.
Right?
Where he comes from, like
exactly. So that personalization, tailoring of advice is the differentiator for us.
Okay.
And we realize we can do that if we work and collaborate with industry experts, right?
Okay.
Because they can have the bandwidth, they can have the knowledge and experience to guide somebody in a very personalized way, after understanding their context and after knowing everything they know about their job and their industry.
It's a super deep thing that you must be having like a lot of knowledge, right, in this space, because coming to this idea, getting into this problem, you need that much of experience, right, that you have. And I guess that is why you know your problem very well and you can speak like about anything in your problem, right? So that's a good thing. That's a really good thing, because people, what I've seen, it's not like that is the only case, but I've seen people directly jumping to it. This is what I'm going to solve, but they don't know what they are solving, right? They just need to solve something.
Yeah.
But so like whatever I'm hearing from you, you just had like deep insights about, yeah, this is the exact problem and this is what we need to do. And having said that, because people generally get into like masses, right? They start with this motivation, okay, this is what I want to develop, but they shift from that motivation very easily, because okay, cool, this is what it is trending, like as you said that edtech is there.
Yep.
EdTech is booming, the volume and everything are more for your this digital marketing courses and this, but having that vision, right? Okay, this is my vision, I don't want to shift it to this, I don't want to pivot it to this. So that takes like immense amount of focus. Like, where did you get that from?
That is something, I feel the focus is a very important thing for sure in startup. I think it's a little bit innate in the sense, like, I actually am less focused than I used to be as a kid. I was way more focused as a kid. I think, all the distractions today that exist in the form of technology and smartphones and WhatsApp messages and all that has definitely diluted some of my focus. But still, I mean, I keep reminding myself of staying focused, keeping my head down, and really go after our users and solving their problem, right? I feel like what has kept me motivated to stay focused is the kind of impact that I want to create in other people's lives, right? So ultimately, see, focus can be hard to maintain if you don't know what you're trying to achieve.
Right.
If you're just trying to, for example, build something for the heck of it, or if you're just trying to build a startup because your friends are doing it, other people are doing it, it's cool. You can lose focus. Your motivation can, be volatile, right? But if you have a very clear focus which is internal to you, I mean, drive or motivation that is internal to you, at least for me, that keeps me focused. And my motivation here is, I want to see people succeed in their careers. I want everybody to achieve their full potential to the extent possible. And even if I can make a little bit of impact in that area, that would be a big win for me.
Great. I'm very much impressed. So now that we are having like the initial setup, right? You have started your business, you have got into everything. Now the second part is, if you are building a tech business, the most important thing is building a right tech platform, right? So because many of people face a lot of problem, because I come from that industry, so I know. Because client wants this, they don't properly articulate it, and then the developer develops something else and what they don't want, right? So it's like a mismatch thing. So how did you solve it? Like, is there any difficulties in that phase, or you just got the right thing? Okay, this is what I want to develop, so this is, and you articulated properly, you got the developer. Like, how was that process?
Yeah, I mean, see, again, because I'm from a non-tech background, for me the journey has been quite unique in that sense, right? I mean, most of the people who are successful startup founders, if you just look at the data, do have a tech background, of some form of fashion. So for me, what was most important is that I educated myself first, which is what we discussed, right? Like, to be able to articulate our needs, to first actually understand what are the different technologies available. What's the pros and cons of building a web app versus a mobile app versus building a non-tech solution at first, and then later turning it into a tech solution, right? I knew that I had to talk to the right people. Again, similar to, how we connect people to mentors for career transition. I had to speak with other developers, other senior tech folks who had built, consumer tech platforms, similar to what I was striving to build. I also did a lot of online research, right? Understanding, for example, what is the difference between MERN stack and mean stack, right? Or a LAMP stack. I mean, I did this kind of research. I won't be able to, I don't think I'm the expert on it yet, but what I can tell is which one is the right stack for my platform up to a certain extent, right? And then convey that to the developers, right? Get their feedback also, and then make a collective decision rather than me just telling somebody how to do it, right? So for me, I think the two most important things here were educating myself
Yeah.
and then making sure I was getting good feedback from the right people, right? So you need to jump into this.
Yeah, first learn
First.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't outsource it, you
Yeah.
know. Especially as a non-tech founder, you might think, yeah, like my specialty is marketing,
Yeah.
or my specialty is product, you know. I know everything about my industry,
Yeah.
right? So I'll just outsource it. You can do that if your product is not very tech heavy. You can do that. Like for example, there are a lot of e-commerce platforms out
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
right? You
But
can
you
just
can
outsource it.
You can build it on yourself, right? Shopify, just learn what Shopify is and
Exactly, you
yeah.
can build yourself. But if you're building a tech dependent platform, which you want to scale heavily, then you have to understand.
Okay, okay. So now that we got the journey till you developing the product, right? So, what was your next step? Like, what was your vision? Okay, you had some certain deadlines in your mind. Ki this is what, in this period of time, I want like this much. My sales should be this. Or like,
Yeah.
so how was it? How was it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the biggest learning for me has been that timelines are important,
Okay.
but a lot of times you will need to just kind of be flexible and improvise as you are kind of moving forward in the process.
Okay.
What that means is, unless you're starting with a lot of capital and you have the best talent already working with you,
Okay. Okay.
you're always kind of improvising.
Okay.
Yeah. You're always adapting to what's available to you.
Okay.
So some things will work,
Okay.
sometimes things won't work, right? But you can't get demoralized. You have to make the best of that situation. So just to give you an example, when I first started thinking about the wireframes, so I built the wireframes myself, again without any background, right? I just built it myself.
That's nice.
I did hire a designer
Yeah.
to help me convert it into like mock-ups and the prototype and stuff.
Yeah.
But I wanted the product to come from me, not a designer.
Yeah.
That's why I built the wireframes. So that process took us not that long, and I was very, very excited for the fact that I had been able to build a prototype in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
So I had the same kind of enthusiasm and momentum going into the development process, and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out firstly what the tech stack should be, and then finding the best people to work with. Because I didn't have a co-founder at that time.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So I talked to friends, I talked to freelancers, I talked to agencies, and ultimately we worked with an agency on developing our initial MVP.
Okay.
And actually they did a really good job. I would say that there was so much negative talk about agencies in general when I had first started this process, because it was like, they'll promise you something, give you something else, it's very expensive and all those things. I would say, I was quite apprehensive in the beginning.
Okay.
But then when I found the right people after doing a lot of research and interviews, they worked out pretty well for me. The only downside was the timing, I would say.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Which also is something that, as a person who doesn't have tech background, I can't expect to impose my timelines on the people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not even me as a non-tech person. I have seen that happening with the tech leads trying to manage their teams. A lot of times they expect something to be done quickly, but it takes longer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yes, I think it was a learning for me, because I came from consulting finance background where we were serving clients and deadlines were everything, and if we missed those, there would be repercussions.
Yeah.
In this world, what I realized was, there are so many small things to take care of, right? In terms of debugging, testing, QA, all of that stuff, right? And our website was easy, but it was also complex in certain ways.
Yeah, the user experience that you were expecting was
and we wanted to perform it at a certain level. I just didn't want to build something just for the sake of it. Like and for a lot of people, they would say that don't strive for perfection, and you shouldn't. I would agree with that wholeheartedly, but you also can't just put out a broken product.
Exactly. In this kind of market, it is not accepted. People want at least something, because there is another one building the same thing, right? So you have to be the best.
Exactly. I mean, people are, what's the number one product being used in the world? Google, right?
Yeah.
Right? That's got the most searches every day. I think like 2 billion plus searches every day or something like that.
Yeah.
look at how perfectly Google works.
Yeah.
We can't give that Google experience, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we can't give an exact opposite experience where things are not working.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have to kind of strive for that balance where you don't go for perfection.
Okay.
But you can't just put out something that is substandard.
Okay. Right. Right.
So it takes time to get that quality right. It takes a little bit more time. It can't be done in a couple of weeks. It will take months.
Okay.
Right?
So what was your learning, like, to sum it up, like this learnings in one sentence? How would you do it?
I would sum it up by saying that definitely have a plan in mind.
Okay.
Don't just try to wing it.
Okay.
But at the same time, be flexible enough so that you can adapt quickly
Okay.
to external factors and circumstances that arise, which you may not have anticipated.
Right.
So have a plan so that you have some structure.
Okay.
But be flexible.
Great. So far so good. You got the product right. Now it's about before coming to the product, right? So we as a founder, we basically do a little market research. Like, this is the market. Let's suppose it's a disruptive product, right? So the TAM, you can say, the total addressable market cannot be defined. But still, did you search it for, like, what is your TAM, how much percentage I can get, and what would be my sales or revenue or stuff? Like, have you discussed about all this with your team?
Yeah, I mean, we built sort of a pitch deck, or at least for our own market research purposes, to understand what our business, what our market looks like. Yeah. Like I said, before I even thought of the solution, I was just doing user interviews and market research.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And yes, we did the whole thing, market sizing, TAM calculations, SAM calculations.
What was your expectations for the TAM, can I ask? At that time?
I didn't honestly have any specific expectation because of the factor you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's a relatively new industry. I couldn't just say ki edtech is my market.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If I said edtech is my market, I know India's market currently is about $2 to $3 billion in edtech.
In edtech, yeah.
Which is expected to be about, I believe, $10 billion by end of this decade. Okay.
Okay. I guess it's more.
Sorry, 10 billion by 2025 and 30 billion by end of this decade.
Yeah.
That right.
Sounds reasonable, because edtech is going to boom, that's for sure.
Yeah. No, but if you think about it, edtech is going to boom, but it just started, 2015, just started, really. So it's been less than 10 years for edtech. And the boom happened during the pandemic primarily, right? But anyways, that wasn't our TAM, because we are not an edtech platform. So, you can have a top-down approach and a bottoms-up
approach,
So we had to do a bottoms-up, right?
Okay.
We didn't have a top-down necessarily to look at.
Yeah. So what was your bottom-up approach? Like, if a single user, let's say, quits in this many months, then how much, so
something like that. Basically, we had to focus on our key metrics, right?
Okay.
The key metrics are always like how many people are going to use your platform or are going to be in this industry.
Okay.
And the pricing, right?
Okay.
Those are the two key variables. So the pricing is usually straightforward. You can get a approximate range of what you want to charge your users, right? That one is, I would say, less difficult to arrive at. The more difficult, the pricing.
Okay.
Right. Relative to your volumes. The volumes in a new market, in a new category, can be hard to understand. Right. So the way we looked at it is, what is the total workforce?
Yeah.
Because that's our core market, right? We are impacting the workforce of our country and globally. So what is the workforce? Out of that, what is the more relevant workforce? So like a lot of people in India, majority of people are in India in the informal economy sector, which means people who are not registered as employees. That's, I believe, almost 200 million people out of 500. So 40% of the market, of the workforce market, is unregistered in India. Right? So that is not a market for us to go after right now. Right?
But that's crazy number.
Oh yeah, I mean, think about it, right? Most of our workers are not in tier 1 town. They're actually in tier 2, tier 3, sometimes even in rural areas, those kind of. That transition will happen. There are going to be more and more people who come out of this unregistered to the formal and registered economy. But what we realized was, it's, for us, somewhere like around 100 million people out of 500 million of India's workforce. Right? Who actually we can impact, at least in the beginning. Right? And out of these 100 million also, not everybody is making a transition every year. So approximately we would say somewhere about 1/4 to 1/3 of the population is making.
That's again too much, I guess.
No,
I was
actually,
expecting at least like 10% or so. 5-10% is the market that you're gaining in that, but 33% market share is amazing.
well, not for Pivot specifically. I'm talking about the entire market.
Okay, yeah.
I'm talking about the
Yeah,
entire
yeah,
market.
yeah. I'm
right?
sorry for that.
So TAM is not what Pivot is
Yeah.
going to have
Yeah.
necessarily. It's about the market opportunity that we
Okay,
have.
yeah.
So in that, there are about, let's say, 30 million people,
Okay,
who are making a transition
okay.
every year, right? Just in India, right?
30 million
30 million people who are making a transition
per year.
per year,
Okay,
right? And these are people who are making a career transition, meaning leaving a job to enter a new job. I'm not talking about freshers who are
Right.
entering the market
Right.
for the first time.
yeah. They are
If you look at
pivoting.
that, yeah, those people are also pivoting. If you think about it,
Yeah,
theirs
yeah.
is a major pivot. Because you've just recently graduated, you will understand.
Yeah,
Leaving college to enter, your first full-time job
Yeah.
is not easy in India anymore, right? Because of this whole unemployability
yeah,
issue,
yeah.
right? So anyways, we haven't even covered that market, but that market is about, I think, again, 30 to 40 million students who are entering the workforce every year. So it doubles your market almost.
Okay,
right?
but initially you're focusing on the second inning kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
It's for anybody who's making career transition in any way which changes their job profile a little bit.
okay, got it. And since you're having a 30 million users now, okay, like how did you had this number earlier?
Earlier,
Like
as in?
after making your MVP and knowing all that stuff, you just get into that process and you found out, okay, now this is my TAM, or this is the group that I want to focus on. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's also, like, you will get to always learn more and more about your users and your industry as you're working on your startup, right?
Okay.
So you will get new revenue generation ideas.
Yeah.
You will get new
Yeah.
business model ideas
Yeah.
and all that. So sometimes this figure can vary a little bit depending on
Yeah.
what new ideas
business
come to you.
strategies that you're implementing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But generally, yes, that has been the number for us that we have focused on.
Okay.
Since like initial market research that we have done.
Okay, and what was your was there any trajectory or was there any sales for forecasting for that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there has been a sales forecasting. I mean, again, there are a lot of variables that go into
Okay.
the sales number, right? Like what kind of products and services you're offering, how much do you expect users to pay,
Okay.
and we have again looked at, what are users paying for different or similar kinds of services, right?
Okay.
And I would expect somewhere around, on average, like $70 to $100 per user in net revenues. So the ARPU,
yeah.
is somewhere around $70 to $100.
Yeah.
So if you look at it that way, 30 million people paying about, let's say 70 to 100 is
Yeah.
about $2.5 to $3 billion opportunity, right,
Yeah.
for the market. But it's growing exponentially. So the thing
Yeah.
is, for example, if you look at agri-tech, you look at space tech, if you look at the current market size, it's in tens of millions. They don't have much revenues going on right now because they're just starting.
Yeah.
But why is everybody now suddenly betting on them? Why are the VCs suddenly going after agri-tech and space tech and Web3, right? Not because what they're making today, but what they stand to make in the future.
Yeah, in 2025 or let's say in this end of the decade. So.
The next, I mean, you can think about it, the next few decades.
Yeah. We can say that. So it's crazy that you're having this big TAM now. We got everything right, but now getting into business strategy and marketing your product such that the TG that you're looking for would be appealed to, and what was your strategy? Okay, this is how we need to get into the market. First, how was your GTM, and the second is your go-to-market strategy, and how are you going to scale it? Right, so I first we'll discuss about, let's say, marketing, and then we'll go to the.
You're asking for all the secret sauces here.
Yeah. This is what the podcast is all about.
I hope none of my competitors get to watch this ever. Not that it matters.
But yeah, again, competitors, if they are watching it, but still it's your idea.
I'm joking.
Right?
I'm joking.
Yeah, okay.
I don't really care. See, the thing is, if somebody else can execute better than me, then go for it, right?
But still, you have your experience. Come on, you are building this for 2 years. You know ins and outs of the business.
Yeah. See, honestly, I know this may sound cheesy to a lot of people, but for me, the the whole attraction of starting a startup is not really just the money. I mean, yes, money is important,
Yeah, of
right?
course. Yeah.
If you're taking such a big risk and this you're putting your own money on the line, your own skin in the game, then you want the rewards. I won't lie. But is that my driving factor? No. Right? The driving factor is ultimately what I said earlier. I do see a huge paradigm shift
Okay.
happening in the way people work.
Okay. Yeah.
And there are a lot of companies who have started new kind of platforms or who started like decades ago and are still doing good work.
Yeah. Yeah.
But still nobody is really focusing on just helping people manage their career transitions, right?
Right.
And I think somebody has to do it,
Right.
right? And do it in a way which can impact as many people as possible in a positive way.
Got it.
Right.
Got it.
So that's my focus, and I would say, yeah, if others are also working in the field, it's a good thing, because then hopefully we will be able to help more and more people in their careers, right?
Yeah, got it.
So competition is not always bad. It's actually a good thing.
Good thing to, you be in the journey. Okay, see, I want to be better than him at least. Not having that in the mind. Okay, I need to do what he's doing in a better way, but just that, disrupting in your own way.
Yeah.
Right, as I can put it. So again, how did you market it? Like, did you thought that, okay, social media marketing was we going to choose, or we need to have a sales team that is going to actually call the individuals and find out that what is their pivot pinpoint? Okay, cool. If this is what your pinpoint is, we just use pivot for like first free month trial, and we can actually guide you, and then pick it up from the like, how is there any LTV for your product? Like, how is it?
Sure. I mean, I'll try to, just keep this one a little more concise, because as an early stage startup, to be honest, you have to stay agile, you have to stay nimble in terms of how you market your product.
Okay.
There's a lot of learning still going on for us.
Okay.
So it's not like we have landed on just one final mantra that we are going to apply forever.
Got it.
Right?
Got it.
But yes, there were certain experimentations that we did. One thing that I was very clear on conceptually when I first started is I wasn't going to do ads. I wasn't going to do paid ads.
Okay.
In the
no
beginning.
Google ads, no Facebook ads.
We have done 0 so far.
Okay.
Right? The reason being because I want to see an organic demand for the product first.
Yeah.
To really validate the idea.
Yeah.
Right? And also in the process kind of build a strong brand and community around us. Right?
Okay.
You can't build a community by throwing dollars on them. You can't build a brand by throwing dollars. In the beginning especially.
Yeah.
Right? You have to stand for something. You have to help people in a certain way. Get that validation, and then get referrals, get word of mouth, and those kind of things to really build that brand.
Okay.
Right. So my focus initially was to do small scale stuff, nothing too major. I'm not like chasing after, just breakneck growth and become a unicorn in like 2 years, 3 years. That's not my goal.
Okay.
I'm sure there are a lot of people who have that goal, and that's fine. Personally, it's not my goal. So my goal was how to spread pivot organically, where people understand A, what we do, B, how we can help them, and C, if they think that we are of value, then they share it in the network. Okay. So far it's primarily been honestly like social media, a little bit of word of mouth within our own small networks. And all of the paid users that we have gotten, we haven't spent a single dollar to acquire them.
Okay, that's great. So what is your revenue till date? Can you share
that? I won't be able to share so far.
That's okay. So like, I got the point that you need to have see the organic growth first, and then you can go for the traction. So while having this, like, let's say you're running a business, right? So there is one thing called as month on month, quarter on quarter, year on year growth. You have to project, you have to keep up to that mark. Is there anything like that? It's just like, okay, cool, we'll test this for like next 6 months, and then we'll get the right audience, right? Get their characteristics, and build a user persona, right? Build a proper sales team, and like, what is your approach? I just need to get that thing from you, so that I can at least get an idea. Okay, this is what works for you, right? So it might work for me, though we are from a completely different background. But I can have like thoda bahut learning from that.
Sure. So I think in terms of like sales, right?
I mean, just tell me, if you look forward to that 10 month on month, let's say year on year, quarter on quarter, or if yes, no, like what is it?
See, I think there are projections,
Okay.
but they're not hardwired projections yet.
Yeah.
In the
Got
sense,
it.
again, the formula that I told you earlier, have a plan but stay flexible, right?
Yeah.
That is still there. So we are looking at quarter on quarter right now,
Okay.
right? Even though some people might tell us, look at it daily basis, look at it week on week basis, or month on month basis, right? But because again, we are not putting paid ads right now, which means the growth that's happening is all organic, right? It will be relatively slow in the beginning, and then it will have, I would say, snowball effect later if we do things right. Right. So for
same
us,
as Zerodha.
Same as Zerodha, same as a lot of other platforms. I mean, Zoho is another one, right? I mean, if you can be a Zoho, you can be a Zerodha, you can also be a Zepto, where you can raise $500 million and then kickstart your growth in the first year itself, right? My goal was, let's get to a PMF first, right? And then you start focusing on growth.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
A lot of people again might disagree because startup is all about exponential growth from as early as possible, because that's what VCs want.
Yeah, that's what the current situation is.
Current situation is that, but now a lot of VCs also want to make sure you have positive unit economics, so that you can actually survive tough economic conditions like today's, right? So I wanted to make sure that we have a decent business model, that we are actually delivering value to users. We are actually making the impact we want to in their lives, in their careers, right?
Got it.
It sounds basic, but if we get those fundamentals right, we will achieve our PMF. And that's when we can just push our accelerator on the growth.
Solid. That is crazy. So yeah, like that is what your entrepreneurship journey looks like, right? Overall. And what do you think? So are you happy with your journey so far?
Happiness is subjective. But yes, I would say this. I always wanted to live a life by design, not by default. What that meant is, I don't want to just do things because I'm comfortable doing them and because that's how others are doing it around me, right? You have to kind of understand what is right for you, right? It may or may not work out in the long term, but at least you won't have any regrets down the line. I wish I had done that. I wish I had not done that. So my life so far, I mean, I've still a lot to live, hopefully.
Of course,
touch wood. But so far I've tried to, make decisions even if they made me feel uncomfortable, but they were aligned with my priorities, right? So like, for example, leaving US to come to India, leaving my leadership role in India at Mercer to start pivot from scratch, from ground up. Not everybody would advise doing that. Actually, a lot of people told me not to, right? But I still did it. And for me, that's been like the most fulfilling thing. That I had the, honestly, this privilege to do things my way.
But like, what do you think? Because you have been in corporate for 9 years, right? You have done that job. You have done consulting. You have done management, right? What is more easy? Like, nothing is easy for sure. But like, you have been so far like 2 years in this journey, but you have also been in that journey. What is more soothing for you? Okay, this is what I wanted, and no matter what, I got it from what you told me. Okay, this is what I want from this project, right? The pivot. So what makes you more? What makes you more? Just going through. Okay, this is what I wanted to do always. Is it that thing or is it this thing?
I think, see, as I actually say on our company's website and our mission, right? People are not rigid, fixed kind of entities. Who you are today, you might not be 10 years from now.
Probably tomorrow.
Or even, let's say you have a new experience. It will change your mindset about things, right? Social media and other people starting startups has already had a huge impact on the startup ecosystem in India. 5 years ago, there weren't that many startups. look at the last 5 years, suddenly people are, going after starting startups, right? And that's because people are changing, right? So for me, it's not really like whether corporate is better or startups are better. It's what's better for you and what's better for me at given stage of our life, right? For me, what I realized was corporate worked really well the first few years because it gave me a strong foundation. It showed me a lot of things that I wouldn't have known if I just started right away after college, right? Like in terms of, for example, working with teams, motivating your team when they are not feeling, inspired, having the right processes in place so that you can scale businesses in an efficient way, right? And a lot of other things like, strong work ethic and just learning from your peers who have spent so much more time than you in the industry, right? So those are all things that are valuable, and I would not, say that they're trivial. But startups has obviously accelerated my growth in different dimensions. In ways that it would have never if I stayed within corporate. Right?
Because you get a lot of stuff from from different sectors going on. Like this is there now, this is there now, this is there. Exactly. Everything is done by a single person, right? So you get exposure like to the extent. You learn a lot every single day.
Absolutely.
It's that. So I would like to ask, like, what is your work philosophy? Now I got everything right. You what is the one mantra or one code that you live with? Okay, so this is what I live with, or this is what my mantra is.
See, there are two things that I like to focus on. One is like give your best, forget the rest. Right? In the sense, you may have heard this one before, but it really has to be deeply practiced. You can't just know it theoretically. People get very stressed out when they don't achieve their goals. Especially startup founders, right? Because either your startup makes it or it fails, right? And 91% startups fail, just statistically speaking. So should that change your mindset about how you view yourself or how you view your capabilities? Not necessarily. You need to give your best every day, right? But you can't let the end goal or the end outcome just impact how you think about yourself or your capabilities, right?
Got it.
And those two things have to be sometimes separated out also. Yes, goals are very important because otherwise what are you striving towards, right? A lot of times you want to make sure you achieve your goals, but when you're shooting for the stars, when you're so ambitious, there are times you're going to fail, right? Which brings me to my second mantra, which is that you need to embrace challenges and you need to normalize failures. What that means is if you're doing something for years and years, like I was doing in my corporate job, you're going to start feeling comfortable. You're going to start feeling very knowledgeable and experienced about your field, right? There are going to be relatively fewer challenges. Because the more you spend time doing something, the better you get at it, typically. Right? But if you're doing something new, something out of your comfort zone, that is where you're going to face the most challenges. Right, because you don't know much about that field, right? And if you get demoralized by that early on, it will be very hard to sustain in that field, right? So you just have to kind of normalize failures where you don't just say ki okay, failure hai, theek hai, kuch nahi hota. You say I'm doing something that's ambitious. There's a strong chance I will fail. Looking at the ecosystem and the stats. I will learn from my failures and then I'll do something better and more effective. Right? But if you always feel afraid of failure, right, it's just going to, kind of make you hesitant towards striving for something that's ambitious.
Right. This is what I so believe in, but again, if it all is coming from you, so that means it has value. I'm validated.
I think there are more and more people who are now starting to think along these lines, which is a good thing, and that's why you're seeing such a big boom in the startup ecosystem.
So that's nice. So we are like having great talk. Are you enjoying this?
Yeah, absolutely. Although I think
so like there are like couple of questions left. So the first thing, the last question probably, what is the one advice you would give it to your younger self, that is, let's say when you are 21?
I think the one big advice is just make sure that you continue to learn. And this is what my first mentor in my first job told me. It had been just 2 months in my first job, and I just wrote her an email saying, I would love some feedback on like how am I doing, what should I be doing more.
Yeah.
She told me one thing. She said, you're doing great. The only thing I would say, be a sponge. What is a sponge? Sponge is something that absorbs everything.
Yeah.
Right? So when you are 21, yes, you have learned a lot in college and school.
Yeah.
You may have a lot of energy and new ideas, and you should go after them if you feel passionately. But make sure that you continue to learn, whether it's through observing other people, whether it's through reading and watching, or it's by doing, right? Whatever you do, make sure you continue to learn in a structured way so that you keep building on your skill sets, and over a period of time they will compound to the point that you will become a thought leader, you will become an expert in your field.
Got
right?
it.
So keep your focus on learning new things and keep getting better at what you're learning.
Okay. Any advice to the listeners or the future startup founders who already started and struggling to make it happen? So yeah.
I don't have any more gyan to share, to be honest. I think I've shared a lot on today's
But any one
session.
advice that okay, cool, just be in the process or like something like that, because
I mean, again, I would say enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Right, because the goal may or may not always be achieved, but it's the journey that counts.
Okay.
And ensure that you make the most of this journey, right?
That's great.
Yeah.
Any 3 book suggestions that you can give to viewers?
Just general ones, or
Any that you like and you have learned, which has also helped in your startup journey.
Sure. I mean, this is not a startup book in any form or fashion.
Yeah.
It's called Lust for Life.
Okay.
It's a biography of Vincent van Gogh, who was a painter in one of the biggest artists the world has ever known.
Yeah.
And what I love about the book is how passionate he was for his craft.
Okay.
Right? And if you can be that kind of an artist, no matter what you do in your work,
Yeah.
You will always, I will say, you'll always feel inspired to work. Right? You'll always have your why
Right.
of why I'm doing something.
Yeah.
Right. The other books, I mean, Lean Startup has definitely been something that everybody reads, and it's always helpful to understand how to take small, consistent steps rather than do big things and then see them fail. Right. So I would say Lean Startup definitely. The other one, which personally like I feel like it's very relevant for me because I deal in a business which is all about change.
Okay.
It's called Switch.
Yeah.
It's by the Heath brothers,
Okay.
Chip and Dan Heath.
Yeah.
I'm still reading that. I'm almost done. It's an excellent book if you want to understand how to drive change, any sort of change, whether in your personal or your professional life. What are the key steps that people need to take
Switch. Yeah.
to change things around them or things within them? So yeah, these 3 books I would recommend.
That's great. That's great. So I would like to just ask, because we are ending this now. So how was your experience while doing this? Did you enjoy this? Be very honest, very brutal.
Sure.
If you have any advice for me, you can just share.
Absolutely. No, I definitely enjoyed this. I haven't, shared a lot of my experiences about startups apart from on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So I haven't done a lot of these like podcast interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely good information for all the viewers and listeners out there. But I also want to make sure that people know that every journey is different,
Yeah.
and a lot of the things that I'm sharing will be relevant and some of the things might not. So feel free to, take whatever you think is relevant and just disregard whatever is not. I had a great time doing this. Thanks so much for having me.
For having this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Great pleasure.
Yeah.
Again and again. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.